Members, do we have a lot of laws in the state of Minnesota regarding gun restrictions and gun laws? Well, members, I did a little bit of research. We have 43 laws in the state of Minnesota restricting or confiscating guns right now. 43 laws, okay? You can look that up. But members, let's apply those laws to a situation that happened here in Minnesota. And this comes from the Center for the American Experiment. Terry Brown, he's 33, he entered the 7th Street Truck Park in St. Paul. He shot and killed one person back in 2022, and he wounded 15 people, members. Okay, let's look at his background. He had previous felony convictions, not charges, that included aggravated robbery, drug possession, aiding a robbery, and violating a no-contact order. He had 5 felony convictions between 2007 and 2019. Terry Brown obtained his gun illegally. Now let's look at the universal background check that we have in this bill on page 275 and see if Terry Brown would have, if this law was enforced, if he would have used this procedure. I'll just read a couple sentences. The chief of the police or sheriff shall refuse to grant a permit to a person if there exists a substantial likelihood that the applicant is a danger to self or the public when in possession of a firearm. To deny the application pursuant to paragraph, the chief of the police or sheriff must provide the applicant with written notification and the specific factual basis justifying denial, including the source of factual basis. The chief of police or sheriff must inform the applicant of the applicant's right to submit for a permit within 20 business days. Does anybody here believe, on either side of the aisle, that Terry Brown would have gone to a police or sheriff and applied for a permit to carry? He's got 5 felony convictions between 2017 and 2009. According to this article, the problem isn't more gun restrictions. The problem is a judicial system and prosecutors that create a revolving door that put violent criminals right back out on the street. And that's what we see with the Minnesota Freedom Fund, funded by Democrats, and this is what we see in this bill, and this is what's going to endanger the public. It is the Democratic Party that is soft on crime and endangers our citizens in this state, and it needs to stop, and this bill needs to be defeated. Okay, if we look at the laws we already have, guess what? One of the laws is possession of a firearm by convicted felon and a mandatory minimum sentence. So we already have a law to deal with Terry Brown. It's not being enforced. 5 felony convictions, and we put them right back out on the street. And this bill is going to do even more of it. Soft on crime and endangering private law-abiding citizens. So all this background check, which we already have federally, and the red flag laws, it's not going to reduce crime and gun violence. You know what it's going to do? It's going to harass law-abiding citizens in this state. That's what it's going to do, and that's why it's been ruled unconstitutional in some states by judges. So members, if we look at the Democratic Party, what we see is they're promoting an agenda of chaos and crime in our state. And the more, whether it's the riots, whether it's putting criminals back on the street, not prosecuting them, and the result is the more chaos they promote, members, the more they want to take away and restrict the gun rights of law-abiding citizens. Promote chaos and then go after law-abiding citizens because ultimately they want to confiscate your guns. That's where this is going, because they're never satisfied. Members, we got 43 laws already about crimes with guns. We're not enforcing them. That's the problem, Mr. President. Not more gun laws. Let's vote this bill down. And by the way, Democrats, you do have a problem. You know, recently, Officer Josh Owen was slain, and Governor Walz wanted to attend the funeral. But the widow told him, please don't attend. Okay? So you have a problem. There's a perception that you are demonizing police and promoting an agenda that is pro-criminal. And that's very sad, members. And the other thing about this bill, I just cannot believe that we're not doing anything with school security. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that that does not come out of that conference committee when we've seen the types of shootings in schools across this nation, and yet it seems we want to leave our schools defenseless in many cases. It's a travesty, members. So, members, from a gun restriction standpoint, this is a disaster. One other point, Rudy Giuliani, when he was mayor, he reduced murders and crime in his state, in the city of New York, dramatically. Guess what? He didn't have a red flag law, and he didn't have universal background checks. If this bill promoted the principles that Rudy Giuliani used in New York to clean it up and reduce crime, it's actually a bill that I could support. That's the way to address problems, not the way this bill goes, which endangers our citizens. Now I'd like to switch to a different topic within this bill. You know, you got gender identity and gender expression, which also includes drag queens. Well, it had been diagnosed as gender dysphoria. That's what it is. It's a mental condition. These people need our help. You know, it's anti-biology and anti-science. And members, I brought an amendment to the floor here to protect minor children from mutilating surgery, cross-sex hormones, and puberty blockers, which severely damages them and are irreversible. You know, I did a little bit of additional research, and there's now 12 states in our country that prohibit mutilating surgery, cross-sex hormones, and puberty blockers on minors. We could do that, members, and put a stop to that. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party voted that amendment down, and to the risk of our children. Again, follow gays against groomers. What they're doing to minors is grooming them for sexual exploitation and pedophilia, according to Gays Against Groomers. They can be found on Twitter. You know, ladies, this is going to lead, what's in this bill with gender identity and gender expression is going to lead to biological men competing in girls' sports. It'll be mandated. And biological men going into your dressing room and bathroom facilities. That's what's going to come out of this bill. Think about it, ladies. This is not going to create safety for you. This is contrary to science and biology. What's happening is it's a war on our children, a cultural war, between having abortion right up to the 9th month, between promoting this gender identity and getting rid of minor attracted adults from the Minnesota Human Rights Statute. You're promoting a war on our children, and it needs to stop. Please care about the children and vote this bill down. Members, finally, you know, the Creator that gave us unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, he also made a quote in the Bible that says, "Whosoever offendeth one of these little ones that believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hung about his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea." That is not my opinion, that's God's. Please, members, come to your senses. Protect the children from harm. Vote no on this corrupt bill. Thank you, Mr. President and members.
Senator Eric,